Oh, the 1980s. Boy, if you did not grow up in the 1980s, I feel bad for you. Now, maybe I'm being partial, but the 80s friggin' rolled. The best decade ever. Yeah, the last kind of decade of just things were just chill and cool and things were simple and slower in a good way. So let's go visit the 1980s where I grew up in the 1980s. The year was 1979. It was New Year's Eve. And little did I know I was entering into the greatest decade ever. Hello. So let's go down top 10 things that made us so great in the 80s that I wish were around today, but they weren't. I was thinking about this and I thought this last night. I said to myself, wow, I remember in the 1980s just walking into my relatives' homes unannounced, door open, just walk right in. Be like, hey, grandma, or nonna in Italian. I'd be like, hey, nonna, it's me, Anthony. She's like, ah, from like way back in the kitchen somewhere. Walking into my Aunt Lucy's house unannounced, just walking in any time of the day, afternoon or night. No, nothing. No doorbell, no ring cams, no who is it? Or I had a call before I came. Just walk right in. I mean, that was like that in a lot of homes back then, my house too. I mean, people could just walk right in unannounced. I mean, just think about that. Walking, and my grandmother in the summer and in spring would have just the screen door. So you heard what was going on inside and you would just walk in and that would be that, just sit down and, oh my God, Anthony, you're here. I mean, we stayed to expand on that. We were able to just walk into any school we wanted. When I wanted to go visit an old teacher at my old elementary school or high school, just walk right in through the school, walk right into the class. Hey, what's up? In the middle of the class, just saying hello. That happened today. I mean, you need it. It's armed security at everyone's house. Really. I mean, it's amazing, right? That we live like that. So let's go down memory lane here, huh? If you lived in Bergen County, okay, now I want to hear your experiences and how you lived too. I mean, how was it in Bergen County, New Jersey, growing up in the 80s? Where did you hang out? What did you do today that kids today miss out on? But let's go down memory lane. So number one, I would say, especially if you were a boy, I mean girls too, but boys, our bicycles were our automobiles. I mean, you see kids on bikes today. I mean, bikes for us back then were, especially boys, were like the big deal. Like you don't see that today. Did you ride, a GT or a Quahara, a Quad Angle, a Sigma, a Diamondback, a Hutch? Those were like, what Mercedes and Lamborghinis are to people today for us kids. No helmets. We just, rode our bike everywhere. I would be in different counties. Different counties. At 10 years old, I went from Bergen County to Hudson County. I would be miles and miles away. Wouldn't even tell my parents. I would just leave at like 11 in the afternoon, come back at maybe 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, whatever. I mean, it really was like feral. Yeah, just gone. The corner deli, right? There was always that corner deli. For us, it was Lou's by me down in where we were in Palisades Park, New Jersey. That was a big treat. If you had extra money, you go to Lou's Deli, sandwich, Coke. I don't even know. Like I know a slice, a pizza and a Coke were 50 cents. Wow. Wow. I don't know today. And there was no mega malls. It was still like relatively small malls, like the Promise Park Mall, Garden State Plaza, which weren't expanded yet. So we're looking at, at like things that were very easily navigatable, if that's a word. And, we take the 166, I believe it was. It was 166 or 168. I thought we were such hot shit taking the bus to the mall. And I remember my friends, Eddie and Bobby, I'm like, hey, where are you guys going this week? I was like 12, 13. And they're like, oh, we're going to the mall. I'm like, what's the mall? Like, I didn't even know what the mall was because everything was so still small town. Like if I had to go get something with my family or go shopping or go anywhere, downtown is where it was at. The 5 and 10, the local supermarkets, the local, toy store, the local, you name it, local place to get a suit. It was all there. There was no, I mean, there was malls, but I didn't even realize it. So my friends were like, yeah, we go to the mall. I'm like, the mall? What's the mall? Like, oh yeah, you can come with us one of these days. I'm like, oh, okay. How do you get there? They're like, oh, we take the bus. I'm like, the bus? I'm like, we're 12, 13. I mean, Oh my God, man. Your parents let you do. So yeah, my parents let me do it. We hopped on the bus and I followed my friends Teddy and Bobby, and it was like safari. I thought we landed on Mars, exploring. I mean, we're children on a bus to go God knows where, and we got lost too on these buses sometimes because there was no GPS, there was no parental supervision. It was just you're on your own, dude. And can you imagine that? Can you imagine sending your child today, 12 years old, 13 years old, just be like, yeah, go ahead, take the bus. Here's some money. Go bye. Bye. That's it. Come back before it's dark. That was my life. And my parents are good parents, good town, good school, good family, that I had and have. So it wasn't like we were some homeless children, running around. But I mean, it was so common. And then we would just see our friends at the Garden State Plaza. I was like, whoa. And once I got onto that, it was like, that was the Facebook of our time. And when you wanted to go see your friends and be seen and see what was going on, you go to the mall. The blue laws up here in Bergen County, I mean, still today, everything's closed on Sunday. Well, most things are closed on Sunday. And that was nice because it was like, chill. You got a chance to breathe and just be with your family and be bored and just kind of like play stickball or football in the street, throw the frisbee around. It was a nice time. Yeah, I mean, if you played in the streets as we did, our thing was Nerf football in the streets. Yeah, it was big, man. Everybody came out, on the block. And my block at the time, it seemed like there were 100 kids on the block, and every kid was out. I live in a place now in Jersey where there's 100 kids also on our block, just nobody comes out though. And I'm like, I feel so bad for those kids. They're all, I don't know what the hell they do, but it's very, very sad. So we just, our block was crawling with kids everywhere, all times of the day, morning, noon, and night, manhunt, freeze tag, hopscotch, jump rope, just hanging out on the front lawn, playing Nerf football. Nerf football was big though. You had the bicycles lined up on the sidewalk. You knew, oh, this is serious. I remember I was a scrub. They would never throw the ball to me. As I got older, I became the boss. But yeah, you had to work your way up. Pizza places, yeah. I mean, we had so many pizza places in our town in the 1980s in Bergen County, New Jersey, Palisades Park, New Jersey. It was just, I mean, Star Pizza, Mr. G's, Tria Amicis, Donna's is still there. I mean, in a 1 square mile town, we must have had at least 10 pizzerias, John's, and the list goes on and on. But ours was Star by us. We lived on the kind of a ragged side, the raggy side of town, across the train tracks kind of, but it was awesome where we lived. So yeah, pizza places were the place to go, the place you meet up with your friends, take your girlfriend on the first date, something like that. My grandparents lived close. I would always visit them on my bicycle or take a bus or whatever. That was always a treat. My grandparents on Saturdays and Sundays, and yeah, the 80s were just a time of analog, the time of just being in the moment. No cell phones, no internet, we didn't even have cable. I mean, so growing up, we just had one old television in the 90s, and it was, you had to get up and turn the knob. We had 7 or 8 stations. That's it. We didn't even have HBO. We had no VCR. We had no DVD. It was just, I mean, eventually we would get that stuff, but in the 80s, it was just, yeah, that's it. Like, go ahead, and if you were bored, go outside. By the way, speaking of bored, you were bored. I remember just laying in my grandparents' backyard and just being bored, staring at the clouds on a summer day, just staring at the clouds, just being bored, letting my brain, I guess, develop and work. We don't get that today. Everyone's on the phone, yours included. No one can be bored. You knew every back road. You had to know where you were going. There was no GPS. You had paper maps. And, somebody told you, if you had to go somewhere and you didn't know where you're going, they would you have to write down directions. Can you imagine that? Write down directions. And if you got lost, good luck, bro. But you also felt safe. You felt connected. There was never a sense of, like today, the irony is we live in a safer country, a safer society today, believe it or not. If you look at the stats of kidnappings, that's what everyone's afraid of, right? Kidnappings and murders and stuff like that. There was more kidnappings and murders in the 1980s than there were today in the 2020s. But you wouldn't know it because everything is social media. If somebody, God forbid, gets hurt or kidnapped in Alaska, the news is on it 24/7. Kidnapping, stabbing. They make it sound like every town everywhere has a killing and a stabbing just because it happened in Vermont or LA. It's like, whoa. But meanwhile, more crime was happening in the 80s, but because there was no social media, there was really no cable television, there was no 24-hour news cycle, you felt safer. Literally, my house got broken into in the 1980s. Our house was robbed in the 1980s or early 90s. But anyways, you know what I mean? But we still felt safe afterwards somehow. It just felt safe. Kids can just go anywhere, and there was a safety feel to it. I guess because you kind of knew each other face to face. You know what I mean? Today, it's not so much face to face going on out there. Let's talk about some of the more national things. I mean, I remember, or like the freedom we had, but I mean, calling somebody. If I wanted to go out with a friend, you don't text. I had to either pick up the phone or knock on that door. And I remember asking my parents, like, well, what do I say if I want to ask Stefan to come out to play? You know, like they go, well, you knock on the door, you say, hello, Mr. and Mrs., and then you say, may Stefan come out to play. And there was a script. I remember that, knocking on my friend Stefan's door, you know, or ringing the doorbell. Like, oh, hi, Mrs. So-and-so, or hi, Mr. So-and-so. Can Stefan come out? Or may Stefan come out? You know, like you had to deal with adults. Today, it seems like a lot of the kids don't really have that skill. And it's not their fault. It's just the way things are today, you know, tech and all that stuff. But yeah, you had to go out and face-to-face somebody or call on the phone and be like, hi, you had to speak to the whole family before you got to your friend. You know, hi, Mrs., hi, Mr., or hi to the older brother or older sister or aunt or uncle. Oh, is Stefan there? Or, you know, Peter there? Can I please speak with Peter? Okay, hey, Pete, what's up, dude? Can you come out later on? Oh, yeah, sure. And if you made an appointment to go somewhere, you had to honor it. You had to be there. There was no texting. So if I said 4 o'clock at Star Pizza, you know, you showed up. And if you didn't, I don't know if you're alive or dead, but the world moves on. TV schedule. Your life revolved around that TV schedule. No DVR, no streaming. It was just, you had to know when the show was on. You had the book, the TV guide, or you just knew, and you had to show up or else you'd miss it. Gone. Goodbye forever. Wow. So think about this. If you didn't see a movie in the 1980s, you were never going to see it again. I remember the early 90s, like kind of before HBO, or HBO just started, but in my world we were poor, so we didn't have HBO. So like if we didn't see Star Wars, or we didn't see The Empire Strikes Back, or we didn't see Return of the Jedi, it was so important to go see that, because it was assumed like once that movie is out of the theaters, it's it, it's over. You will never see it again. We didn't know that there was going to be the internet. That's it. That was life, right? Since the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. It's just a movie came out. If you missed it, you missed it. That was it. No VCRs, no nothing. I mean, can you imagine the immediacy of life back then? We all didn't even care about cooties and stuff. Drinking from the hose, sharing drinks. That's what you did, right? Cars. I remember being in my parents' station wagon, in the trunk part of it. And we just thought that was just cool. On the highway, here and there. Can you imagine that today? I mean, unbelievable. And then, you know, us kids handled a lot of adult responsibilities, you know. We had to watch siblings. We had to know how to do some basic chores like cooking and cleaning and things like that. So, I mean, I was working since I was 12 years old. You don't see 12-year-olds working today. And music. How about the music, right? Not only the artists were so cool, like Madonna, Michael Jackson, Bon Jovi, but like when you bought music, you put it in your cassette player on the record, and then all your friends would gather around to hear that. Oh, you got the latest, you know, Quiet Riot cassette, or the latest Bon Jovi cassette or record, and your neighborhood, your friends would all gather around to listen to that physically. I mean, think about how much different that is in today, where it's just so antiseptic and all so kind of void of anything. It's just, oh yeah, a new song on my phone. Back then, when I was in the 80s, you just, whoa, you got the new album? You got that new cassette? Pop it in, let's hear. And like, I remember 6, 7, 8, 9 kids would be listening around a boombox radio. The whole damn block heard. But you memorized phone numbers. Think about that. You had a paper Rolodex, maybe, where you wrote down phone numbers. But I knew so many phone numbers off the top of my head. I don't know any phone number now. You had to really memorize crap. You had to memorize crap back then. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, look, things were done in the 80s that just, I remember getting hit by teachers. That was normal. I was just like, yeah, you got hit. Fights would happen in high school in the 1980s, and you would get bloodied up. and they would just brush you off. Maybe principal's office, you boys better stop that. And that's it. Today, you get into a fight. I mean, even in elementary school, we got into bloody fights. You got into a fight back then, again, hey, stop it. Go home. That's it. I mean, today, forget it. SWAT team's coming out. No joke. I mean, it's the study team that study the bullying, the study. And I mean, in a way, it's good. In a way, it's, I don't know, a little coddling maybe. But anyways, the 80s were different. The 80s were unique. So what was your experience in Bergen County, New Jersey in the 1980s or in the 80s in general? What did you love about it? What do you miss about it? What do you not miss about it? I mean, but I'm sure I'm being a hopeless romantic here. But the 80s were awesome. And thank you for going down memory lane with me. See ya. Bye.